fashion. Our spirits in the material world. Spirits in the material. We are spirits in the material world. Spirits in the material world. Our so-called leaders speak with words they try to jail ya. They subjugate the meek, but it's the rhetoric of failure. We are spirits in the material world. Spirits in the material. We are spirits in the material world. Spirits in the material world. Where does the answer lie? Living from day to day. There are some things we can't hide. There must be another way. We are spirits in the material world. Spirits in the material. We are spirits in the material world. Spirits in the material world.
Believe it or not, every video I've done before this one was recorded using the crappy internal computer microphone. So I think one day I was on GarageBand and I was trying to record guitar and it just sounded awful and I couldn't figure out why. I tried adjusting everything and changing things around, and the obvious suddenly dawned upon me. Duh, you need to get a new microphone, you know. The internal microphone is, you know, it comes with the computer. It's going to be not the best quality. So I went ahead and finally picked up a Blue Snowball external microphone, and voila, everything sounds way better. So I feel kind of silly for not having done that sooner. Anyhow, hopefully the blogs, you know, the videos sound a little better now going forward. I like to create a video periodically where I just sort of acknowledge you, my viewers and subscribers, and just let you know that I do appreciate it. 412 subscribers is not a lot compared to a lot of other pages, but this isn't a popularity contest for me. I want to reach people that are going to dig into the content and really pay attention and hopefully do some research of their own and just get them thinking. And you know, ultimately, I want to be a positive force here. I want to try and help wake people up to the reality around them and help them to see what I see, which is that we are enslaved on certain levels, but it's done very subtly through mind control, mass mind control. And the media, you know, the mainstream news, and even movies and entertainment, these are the ways that these are the things they use. These are the modern day gladiator games, you know, the sports and all this. These are to distract us and to control our thinking and try and control who's popular and who's influential and all this. And unfortunately, more and more, it seems like a lot of this, especially with all this time people spend in cyberspace, AI bots and AI algorithms are a real force that we have to acknowledge. They're kind of like the lion in the arena at this point. They have a big influence on how things are perceived, how stories are perceived. And I think about a lot of this stuff as I look at the numbers here. This is what I see. You can see here that my Mark Lanigan, Cobain, and Other Mysteries page is the most viewed currently. Although the recent Sgt. Pepper video I did is quickly gaining. It's doing really well so far. I don't make money off of this page. I've gotten a total of one donation ever. And I know that a big reason for that is that I'm a terrible salesman. I know that, you might say, oh, you've got this, kind of newscaster radio type of voice. That may be the case. I've been told that a lot, but that gift, quote unquote, did not come with the ability to sell what I do. And that's not what I'm here to do. I've always had a problem with the idea of trying to sell expression, sell your art, a band is a business, these kinds of slogans like that. I've never been very good with those kinds of things, but I understand that it is important to allow yourself the ability to do what you do, and that does require money. So basically, I have a regular job. I do this in my free time, but it would be pretty cool if I had the money to do this more often, to even get paid to do it. I mean, I would certainly use that opportunity to do what I do, to scale it up much higher and do a much more thorough and in-depth job. So if you do feel so inclined, I should have a link on pretty much all of my videos and in my written blog at batshitcave.blogspot.com. You might see a button for this Buy Me a Coffee link. And it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Buy Me a Coffee seems to have a pretty good reputation. So if you feel so inclined, you can donate there. I think it starts at $5. So anything is appreciated. Here's my email, tinfoilhatfashion@protonmail.com. I don't get a lot of correspondence, but I suppose is about accurate for the amount of traffic that I get. I am getting more traffic than I used to, but a lot of people don't drop a line. I mean, I don't either. I watch a lot of videos, and I'll try to hit the like button at least just to help them out. But I may comment depending on the mood I'm in. But there's plenty of people that they just like to lurk, and that's cool. But I just like to let you know periodically that I do appreciate, comments, tips on stories I've already done or things I've already covered, things you think I should cover in the future. I am really interested in this AI bot farming thing because, of the influence it has in cyberspace. And I'd be interested to know if I imagine there's got to be companies you can go to. For example, if, hypothetically say I'm Courtney Love and I watch this video, Mark Lanigan, Cobain, and Other Mysteries, and I say, oh, I don't like what he's saying. He's suggesting that, I may have paid Mark Lanigan to say good things about me and lie in my name. And by the way, I don't know that that's the case, okay? I present my opinion that may be a possibility, and that the detective she hired, sort of expresses his opinion that is possible. But, neither of us claim that that's true. It's just an opinion that gets put out there. But, people like to respond to opinions like that in an exaggerated manner. Like, oh my God, that's so crazy. Shut up. You're such a conspiracy theorist. Relax. It's just an opinion. You've got to allow people to have an opinion. If we treat people's opinions as if they're like a presidential executive order that was just laid down. I mean, this comes from spending too much time interacting with people on the internet where you're not, standing in front of them. It's kind of like this weird fantasy world where we create these artificial wars that, can manifest into reality. And it's not good. So anyway, hypothetically, I'm Courtney Love, and I want to see a bunch of people go to that page and talk shit about what I'm saying. I imagine you can there are companies where you can go to and you can say, what can we do about this? How can we accomplish this? And they'll say, all right, well, if we deploy 50 bots, that'll cost you this much. And the bots will, they'll be fake profiles, and they'll be programmed to say negative, to scan all the content and say negative things, or things that, scan the internet and find information that contradicts anything that I say, And I know there's companies, I know this is done, obviously. But I would just be very interested to understand the mechanics of that more. And if anyone knows about this or can recommend a book or some information for me to see, I have a feeling I'm going to have to do a blog on that at some point. But just as a sneak preview, that's not what I'm planning right now. What I'm planning right now is I'm going to do some blogs, or at least a blog, on the band Kraftwerk, and also EMI Records and the Tavistock Institute. These are things that I'm looking into. I think there's a relation between all of these things. And I feel like most of my blogs that I do on, whether it's movies or bands, or it's all just, propaganda and social engineering. And I think ultimately most of it goes back to the same place. And what we're trying to do is peel the layers back and find the steps that go right to that source, so we can shed some light on the darkness in our society and the brainwashing, and be free people that are really free, that have our own minds and our own thinking. And we're not just doing things because we're being led, blindly. So that's kind of the theme of my blog, I hope. And on the topic of, feedback that I get, and whether individuals commenting or email me are human or not, or if they're algorithms, I genuinely doubt that some of these comments are from actual human beings. I mean, I got an email one time, someone saying something about Chris Cornell or whatever, and I tried deliberately not to make my email a link, because if it's a link, it can be automatically tapped on by an algorithm or a bot. If it's typed out like this, you have to actually cut and paste it. That requires a little more thinking. So I do that to sort of weed out the bot algorithms. That being said, I'm pretty sure a AI algorithm did cut and paste and email me, because I got this really strange jumble of words that sort of sounded like a human speaking to me about, this is what I think about Chris Cornell's death, and you're wrong because blah, 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 because Vicky this and Vicky that. And I've noticed this whole thing about trying really hard to pin it all on Vicky, and she probably was involved, in some way, whether willingly or unwittingly. But I don't like to focus on the Vicky thing, because I looked into her one time and I couldn't find out anything. So I just sort of gave up on that. If anything, I think Susan Silver is someone to look into. I responded to this email, and an email came back, and there were just some really strange things about it that didn't make sense. And I pointed these strange things out. I said, what did you mean when you said that? And the response that came back was very odd. And, I can kind of tell when I'm talking to someone who's emotionally unstable. But there's a difference between that and something that just isn't human. It's just not putting words together right, not quite the sense of logic, the subtleties are just, they're not there. So I'm pretty convinced that a totally AI intelligence emailed me about the Cornell post. So there's some type of deployment that was made to sort of, it's really interesting. You hear about this phrase, beast computer. I think there is a beast computer out there. It's got to be enormous. I mean, it's collecting all the data on the internet about everybody, and I think it probably deploys bots and algorithms to disrupt conversations and disrupt topics. I think it's just automatic. I don't even think there's always a human that spots these things and presses a button and says deploy. I think that there's literally algorithms in place that have certain narratives built into them, and go out and try to defeat anything on the internet that contradicts those narratives. It's really quite scary if you think about it. And again, the more I talk about this, the more I think I need to do a blog about this. I mean, there's people talking about this, obviously, and the whole transhumanism agenda. But again, any information on that you think that would be worth looking into for me, I'd appreciate it. But I get these comments, sometimes criticism, not very often, but I get them periodically. And a lot of times I don't respond, because either I'm not even sure if they're human or not, or they're just so vague, there's really nothing to say. I mean, the video is me giving my opinion for an hour, you know what I mean? So if someone says, that's stupid, or you're crazy, I mean, I don't see a reason to respond to that. Okay, fine, you think I'm crazy? whatever. It would help if you would point something out. You're crazy because when you said this didn't make sense because. That's helpful. That helps create some back and forth dialogue. That's something I might respond to. Then I can say, well, okay, maybe you're right. Or I can say, no, that's not true because, and it doesn't have to blow up into this, F you, you're stupid, no, you're stupid. I mean, that's the problem with the internet right there. We need to be able to converse and go back and forth. But if you're just going to poke your head in the door and say, this is all crazy, and then leave, I mean, you're not helping anything. That's why I think a lot of these are just bots and algorithms, or just very unintelligent people that just, and I was guilty of it when I was younger. I can still remember when I first started going into chat rooms and going to the internet, say, oh wow, I can, talk shit and then just leave the room and no one even knows who I am. You know what I mean? So there's that too, of course. So that's about it. I want to try and do these types of blogs a little more often. I think they're good. Maybe once a month if possible, but we'll see what happens. And I know a lot of people are struggling out there. These are really hard times, and it might get a little harder too. So just try. I'll pray for you out there if you're struggling, that things turn around for you, or that you find the strength to persevere. The one thing that's constant in the universe is change. So they say we only got one shot at this, right? Only one life, so we may as well try to endure. And I think there are good things on the horizon, but we're going to have to be strong and get through this. So, and if you're doing a little better, I'm fortunate that I'm actually doing okay. I try to help people if I can. I'm not as good at it as I wish I was, but, if we all try to help each other out, the people that are not doing as well as us, we can help lift each other up.